Three of America's most powerful Catholic cardinals just did something unprecedented. They publicly denounced the president's foreign policy, declaring America's moral role in confronting evil is in question. They're not talking about abortion or religious freedom. They're calling out Trump's actions in Venezuela, Greenland, and Ukraine. This is extremely rare, and it's ignited a firestorm. Today, Sophia and Liam debate. Should religious leaders speak out on foreign policy or stay in their lane? Here's what happened. In an extraordinary joint statement, Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York, Cardinal Blase Cupich of Chicago, and Cardinal Robert McElroy of San Diego, three of the most influential Catholic leaders in America, issued a scathing critique of U.S. foreign policy. Their statement reads, "In 2026, the United States has entered into the most profound and searing debate about the moral foundation for America's actions in the world since the end of the Cold War." They specifically called out three Trump actions: the military strike that captured Venezuelan President Maduro, the threats to take Greenland by force from NATO ally Denmark, and what they call inadequate support for Ukraine against Russian aggression. Cardinals rarely wade into partisan politics. They avoid naming presidents directly, but this statement breaks that norm. Sophia says this is prophetic courage. Liam says it's partisan hypocrisy. Let's hear both sides.
This is exactly what religious leadership should look like. The Church has a moral obligation to speak truth to power when governments violate core Christian values. But let's look at what they're criticizing. Venezuela. Trump launched a military strike on a sovereign nation and kidnapped its leader. Whatever you think of Maduro, treating Venezuela like American property to divide up for oil isn't liberation, it's imperialism. This violates just war doctrine the Catholic Church has taught for centuries. Greenland. Trump is threatening military force against Denmark, a NATO ally, because he wants their territory. He's threatening war with friends over real estate. The Cardinals are right to call this fundamentally immoral. Ukraine. While Trump questions helping Ukraine defend itself, the Cardinals remind us we have a moral obligation to stand against aggression and defend the innocent. That's not politics, that's basic Christian ethics. The Church isn't supposed to be silent when governments do evil. Jesus confronted Rome. Prophets confronted kings. This is moral leadership.
These cardinals are putting politics above principle, and I'll prove it. Venezuela. These same cardinals were silent when Obama droned American citizens without trial. Silent on Iraq. Silent on Afghanistan. But Trump removes a narco-terrorist dictator torturing his own people, and suddenly they have moral objections? That's partisanship, not principle. Greenland. Trump hasn't attacked anyone. He's negotiating for strategic territory against China and Russia. Maybe the Cardinals should address the moral crisis in their own church, the abuse scandals they still haven't fully dealt with, before lecturing the president. Ukraine. Trump is trying to end the war through negotiation. What's more moral? Helping both sides reach peace, or shipping endless weapons so Ukrainians keep dying in a war they can't win? Here's the real issue. The Church claims non-political, but these cardinals consistently criticize Republican presidents while giving Democrats a pass. They condemn Trump's immigration enforcement, but were silent during Obama's record deportations. That's not moral leadership. That's the Democratic Party in robes.
The Church criticizes all injustice. You're just angry they're criticizing your side this time.
Really? Where was Cardinal Dolan's statement when Biden abandoned Christians in Afghanistan? I'll wait.
The Church issued multiple statements on Afghanistan. You didn't pay attention because it didn't fit your narrative.
Nothing like this. Nothing calling America's moral foundation into question. They save that language for Republicans.
Is this selective anger or consistent principle? The Cardinals say they apply Catholic social doctrine equally, but critics point to their silence on some democratic policies. Before we continue, let me ask you, do you think religious leaders should publicly criticize presidents? If you're on Sophia's side, speaking out is a moral duty. Leave a blue icon. If you're on Liam's side, stay out of politics. Leave a red icon. Now, Let's delve deeper into the question of credibility.
Liam's trying to discredit the messenger instead of addressing the message. Yes, the church has failed on abuse. That's a serious issue they're addressing. But that doesn't mean they lose the right to speak on other moral issues. By your logic, nobody with institutional failure can criticize anything. That's absurd. The Catholic Church has consistently taught principles that make both parties uncomfortable. They oppose abortion, conservative. They oppose the death penalty, liberal. They support refugee protection, liberal. They defend religious freedom, conservative. They criticize militarism and greed. Makes everyone uncomfortable. What you're seeing isn't partisanship. It's a coherent moral framework that doesn't fit American political categories. The fact that Trump's foreign policy violates that framework on multiple fronts isn't the church being political. It's Trump being amoral. The Cardinals aren't endorsing Democrats. They're making a moral observation about American actions. When governments claim moral justification, and Trump constantly does, religious institutions have an obligation to evaluate those claims. You want the church to bless American power unconditionally. That's nationalism, not Christianity.
I don't want unconditional blessing. I want intellectual consistency. These cardinals don't have it. Cardinal Cupich criticized Trump's border policies as cruel. Fair enough. But Chicago is a sanctuary city that shields illegal immigrants. Where's Cupich's moral statement about crimes committed by people his city protects? Where's his concern for American victims? And here's the biggest inconsistency. These cardinals claim Trump violated just war doctrine in Venezuela. Catholic just war theory requires just cause, legitimate authority, and proportionality. Let's apply that to abortion. The church says abortion is murder, 600,000 plus innocent lives per year in America. That's just cause for extreme action. But when Trump restricted abortion access, these cardinals were silent on supporting those policies. So killing unborn children, silence. Removing a dictator who tortured his people, moral outrage. Explain that consistency. When your institution covered up child abuse for decades, you don't get to lecture elected officials about morality. When you're politically selective, you're not a moral voice, you're partisan. American voters, not clerics, should decide foreign policy.
You're conflating different issues. The church's teaching on abortion and war is about protecting life. They're consistent. You just don't like where it leads.
Consistent. They publicly condemned Trump, but quietly whispered about Democratic failures. That's selective morality, not consistent principle.
And there we have it. Religious leadership or political activism. Moral authority or partisan interference. Prophetic voice or selective criticism. The Cardinals have spoken. Trump hasn't responded yet. And American Catholics, 52 million of them, are divided on this exact question. Here's what I want to know from you. Should religious leaders publicly critique foreign policy decisions? Is the church maintaining consistent moral standards or playing politics? And does the abuse scandal disqualify them from moral authority on other issues? Drop your full take in the comments below. If you think the Cardinals are right to speak out, tell us why. If you think they should stay quiet, make your case. Hit that like button if you want more debates where both sides get equal time. Subscribe to Two Takes for conversations on faith, power, and politics, where we don't tell you what to think. We give you both arguments and let you decide. Next up, NYC nurses strike day 10, healthcare crisis, or union overreach. See you there.